Hey everyone, this is Derek Bros of the Conscious Resistance Network, and today we are going to talk about the intelligence agencies recruiting college kids, high school kids, and how this is just a part of the propaganda machine. But before we do that, I'd like to remind you guys to bookmark theconsciousresistance.com, where you can find all of our latest content. Of course, follow us on Minds, follow us on Steam and DTube, join our Discord channel, sign up for our text list, and if you want to support us on patreon.com/DerekBros, that goes a very long way to help us continue doing this work. You can also sign up for our email newsletter, which I'll be sending out today. And if you want to support us as well, you can get some Kratom, free ounce of Kratom, and CBD through My Brave Botanicals. When you shop with them, it helps support us. And one final note, we are doing a fundraising campaign all the rest of August. Anybody who wants to donate a single donation or recurring donation, what have you, this is to help us combat ongoing social media censorship and to keep pushing towards truth in the face of adversity. And I need your help to do that. So please consider supporting. All right, let's get into it. So I saw this story from CNN. Top secret teens, the high schoolers recruited by the National Security Agency. And this is a little fluffy puff piece, basically looking at the practice of the NSA and I imagine other intelligence agencies recruiting kids right out of high school. And this has been reported on other places, including here on this channel. We'll talk about that in just a moment. So it's not exactly surprising or anything groundbreaking that you probably hadn't heard of yet, but it is, I think, indicative of how the intelligence agencies and how the government in general, the state, who wants to get more and more people involved in their spy apparatus, because the more people you have participating in the whole surveillance state, then the less people who are questioning it, right? And if everybody's a part of the state and a part of the government, well, then they're a part of your machine, and it's difficult for them to oppose it, right? This is like in 1984 and some of those other fictional books, right? Not instructional manuals, which detail a reality where everybody is involved or part of the state in some way, and of course suspicious of each other and spying on each other. And of course the way you get the next generations to support this is you bring them right into the fold. So this details the story of Summer and Brianna and Simon, three high school seniors who were interned at the NSA, who learned about language translation and cyber, and says that her friends speculate about the wild things she does at work and jokingly accuse her of being a spy. Quote, they like to have fun with it, but her friends might be forgiven when the 18-year-old wasn't in, because when she wasn't in her class, she was at her job in the NSA sprawling complex at Fort Meade in Maryland. So they just go on to describe this, how cute it is and how cool it is. The kids like it, and they have a feeling of responsibility because they get top secret clearance, a golden key that opens up all sorts of doors in the future. Simon says there's definitely a feeling of responsibility that comes with it. I think it's really cool that they're trusting these young high schoolers with this, and so many people are able to get a jump start on future careers with this. I think it's a great opportunity. So NSA and other intelligence agencies like the CIA, of course, have similar programs, recruiting, hiring smart-driven science, technology, engineer, and math-minded young people. And apparently they are competing with the flashiness and deep pockets of Silicon Valley. So they have to try to dazzle the teens with the work rather than the paycheck. Once they're here, they get the sense of purpose from what they're doing every day, and they see that they can do things here that they can't do anywhere else, says Courtney, an NSA recruiter who doesn't give a last name. We want to get them in and get them hooked early to the mission so they can have a long career here. There's more emphasis now on student programs than I think there's ever been to try to get them when they're young. Get them hooked young. An NSA recruiter is saying right there, there's more emphasis now on student programs than I think there's ever been to try to get them when they're young. Get them when they're young. Get them hooked young. This whole thing is basically just a commercial for getting kids or getting your youth into the intelligence agency. This may have been paid for by the CIA and NSA. Silicon Valley would be cool, but government work more fulfilling. Responsibility is one of the keys to getting them hooked. For Summer, that meant joining the team rolling out a new product and giving seasoned officials access to test it. The money in Silicon Valley would be cool, she said, but, quote, one of my life goals is to have a job that is kind of fulfilling, and I already feel that here. I know that I went in and did something and I helped people, and having that as one of my goals since I was 12 or 13, I'm pretty happy here, Summer says. The NSA uses the internet, social media, and job fairs to recruit students. They didn't go to Brianna's high school. Instead, her father suggested she check out intelligencecareers.gov, a nice product placement, where she started an application process that was long with lots of different forms and lots of information. And they say this is not your typical summer job. She says it was crazy at first when you walk in. These people are trusting you so much. Now it's exciting because knowing that I'm helping people and helping keep people safe, keeping their information safe, and doing something that's really necessary. Oh, yeah, nothing to do with spying or overthrowing foreign governments or, spying on the American people or anything like that. It's just helping people and doing something that's really necessary. Now she knows all the secrets and she's set up for the rest of her life. She'll be an indoctrinated person who believes in the necessity of the state and of the surveillance state specifically, won't question it, won't challenge it, and will probably just continue to be a soldier of propaganda. Simon says, I feel a little left out when they get to share their customer service stories. They know that I do government work and are respectful of what I can and can't say. They kind of think that's really cool. They're like, oh man, really? Even parents are left out, which was hard at first for Summer, whose parents pushed her to join the program at first. You'd come home and want to tell them, I'm doing this. But then after a while, you just kind of get used to it. You have to keep secrets about all this secret government stuff you're doing. We try to look into the future and give them a good experience now. So maybe when they're done their college career, they'll come back later, says Courtney, the NSA recruiter. Once they're here, they get the sense of purpose from what they're doing every day. And they see that they can do things here that they can't do anywhere else. They repeated that quote twice, just in case you missed that. They want to make sure that you understand you can do things here you can't do anywhere else. Summer, Brianna, and now Simone, it was Simon earlier, are now, this is such a horribly written article, are now college bound. They don't know exactly what they want to do down the line, but they all want to stay with the agency in some capacity. Summer says, catching the bad guys, I look forward to that. Like, what the hell is this thing? It's such a poorly written article, if you can call it, by Mr. Alex Marquardt and his failure of editors. Just pushing surveillance state, NSA, CIA garbage here on CNN. Getting the idea that it's cool for teens to join the NSA and join the surveillance state, join the government, join Big Brother, right? And I want to remind you guys, for those who want a deeper look at this topic, more focused on the universities, but it's very similar. This is an interview I conducted back in November 2017, so 2 years ago. Myself and Micah on Freethinker Radio, we interviewed Daniel Golden, researcher, journalist, and author of Spy Schools, How the CIA, FBI, and Foreign Intelligence Secretly Exploit America's Universities. And it says, in his new book, Spy Schools, How the CIA, FBI, and Foreign Intelligence Secretly Exploit America's University, investigative journalist Daniel Golden explores the fraught and sometimes exploitative relationship between higher education and intelligence services, both foreign and domestic. Chapters explore various case studies of the CIA and FBI using the open and collaborative nature of higher education to their advantage, as well as foreign governments infiltrating the U.S. via the education system. You need to read about this if you hadn't heard about this. I talked about this on my tour last summer as part of my Pyramid of Power presentation, but I really recommend, if you don't know about this and if you're just hearing about this kind of CIA, NSA recruiting high schoolers and young people for the first time, you read this or listen to this interview with Daniel Golden and check out his book if you can. Now, as I said, this is a topic that goes back a ways, right? This is just the kind of modern day version of it. And I just figured it was worth noting because there's all kinds of propaganda out there, and this is just another piece of it on CNN. Top secret teens, the high schoolers recruited by the NSA. And you could say, well, they're just telling the story. But the closer you look, it's actually a favorable story. It's meant to look and sound like it's really cool and appealing. And my guess is because they know that maybe young kids might stumble on this, or their parents might, and then they, hey, you're really good in the STEM research. Why don't you go into that field instead of going over to San Francisco or Austin, Texas, or the new Silicon Valleys and working in, the tech sector? Why don't you join the government? Guess what? There's not much difference between either one of them. But that's it, guys. Again, I recommend you check out this interview with Daniel Golden. Be very weary of and be very kind of suspicious of propaganda coming from CNN and others when they put it in this format, because it's everywhere. It's why it's important for us to be on the lookout for propaganda. And until next time, remember, you are powerful, you are beautiful, and you are free. And if you want to keep us alive, please consider supporting. Peace.